guys. So this is Margin Mavens, hosted by Steph and Kayla. As always, today we are joined by Jolie, the CEO of Satisfiction, a book box that focuses on diversity and all things cute. And we're super excited to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, one, I love everything that you do. I
Thanks.
watch you
Thank
always.
you.
So I'm
Thank
kind of
you. That
curious
means
because I'm the more like not analytical because I'm an English teacher. I don't do analytics in the slightest. But kind of what are the like logistics of owning a company like Satisfiction? How does that come
oh
into
girl.
play?
Trust me. When I tell
Yeah.
you, see,
Yeah.
look, I was an English major too. So when I tell y'all, when I decided to pursue this business, like I had the passion, like I knew exactly why I wanted to start this business, but I really did not know what to expect. So like honestly every day is like kind of a new learning experience. Like I feel like from if you're not behind the scenes, I think I do a good job of, keeping everything together. And so I'm sure there are some people that are like, "Wow, she really like has it together." But like behind the scenes, like there's no rule book on how to run a business, especially a
Mm-hmm.
book subscription box. So like when I tell you the past 4 years running this business has been like, you just learn as you go. I feel like as you grow, not just as a business owner, I think for anyone doing anything outside of your comfort zone, when you take one risk, every other risk after that gets easier. So, like, the first year of this business was really difficult because there's no one for me to go ask questions to. Most people in this industry, like this industry is very gatekeepy, and especially 4 years ago when I started this business, even more so, it wasn't like I could go message, a book box owner and be like, hey, can you talk to me? Like no one was really willing to talk. So it was just kind of like looking to see what other businesses did and trying to do something similar, but also having to figure out on my own because I really kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I knew always like if I have one person who subscribes, that means like I'm doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of at a point now where like, subscriptions are very like cyclical. So it's like once you're in the pattern, things don't change too much unless you're like, I don't know, doing something extremely different, but the pattern always kind of remains. So I always encourage people like if you want to start a subscription box, the first couple boxes are probably going to feel a bit intense and anxiety ridden. But once you get in the pattern, it's not complicated. As long as you keep up with the timing of things and you're organized, you'll be fine. You know, so
So we're just you're gonna watch the brain work. So how does it work when once you decide like, oh, I want to do this book? First off, I guess like how do you decide what book you want to do next? Because it's not a monthly subscription,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
every
every other month.
yeah. It was like
Yeah,
there's a word for it, and I couldn't think of
yeah,
it.
it's
Uh,
bi-monthly, and I did that on purpose because I was like, one, I don't like as a consumer myself. If I'm a subscriber, I personally like I'm a slow reader too. So in my mind, I was like, let me give people the chance to actually enjoy their book. And then if you're subscribed to the bigger box with the skincare and stuff, like give them a chance to enjoy it because I don't know. I feel like every month, especially in this economy, it can just pile up real quick. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you
Yeah.
get
yeah, I
busy with
do.
life, all of a sudden you got like 6 books to read. So I'm like, let me try to make it so people have time and don't feel like stressed. Like the whole point of the business is like self-care. So I'm like, if I feel like I'm stressing y'all out, then like I'm doing the opposite of what my goal is. But basically, I've kind of gotten down choosing books organizational wise pretty down.
Hmm.
Like right now, I'm planning like May 2026 and beyond. So like I plan like a year in advance because
Someone that
y'all
beats me in the planning. We love to see it.
so, yeah, like when it comes to like planning, especially being like a solo entrepreneur, if I don't plan it out, then it's just not going to be a good time. I'm going to be stressed out and anxious. So I feel like when people ask me like how do you choose the books, I do think a big portion of it comes down to specifically for the books, it's a bit of luck because if I just happen like let's say you submit your book or you send me your book and the timing is right and there's an opening and I like the book, then it works out. Like there's been times where authors have submitted a book, but we're all full for 2025. So it's like, okay, I've got a million books to choose for through 2026, which is my current problem because there's so many amazing books that I want to feature, but we only have 6 boxes a year. But basically, the process for choosing a book is pretty straightforward. Like, I read the book. If I like the book, if I think other people are going to like the book, or other subscribers, like, have they recommended me the book? Because I get recommended books all the time. Like, if I have 10 subscribers recommending me the same book and I love the book, it's like no brainer, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
obviously,
easy math.
Yeah.
yeah, it's easy math. And I think, like, kind of even delving more behind the scenes, I would say, like, beyond just liking the book, what's really important to me, like, when I'm reading is creatively, like, creative side of things. Like, I need to be able to, like, visualize the exclusive edition. Like, I was never an annotator before this business, but like now I'm like a super annotator. But it's not like I'm annotating like quotes per se. It's like imagery, symbols, like moments that really stood out. So books that the more descriptive a book is, I feel like the higher in my head, like it's gonna go on the list of possibly being considered because I can easily kind of visualize what the creative direction would look like. So I know if I'm reading a book and while I'm reading it, I'm already going and making a vision board on like Pinterest, right? With like,
Hmm.
I'm just already kind of visualizing a dust jacket or hard case foiling design. Then I'm like, okay, I'm having fun with this. So clearly maybe I should make this an exclusive edition because I'm already naturally going and doing the thing. So, um, yeah, I would say like imagery and especially character descriptions. Like,
Yeah.
if your character has curly hair, use the word curls. Like, be descriptive with that. Like, no ambiguity, like ambiguous characters.
Hmm.
So
Agreed.
Yeah, I
yeah,
like that when speaking about like the annotating and stuff, what like each person's annotations are going to be completely different, which is
hmm
why like I have a hard time sometimes explaining like how I annotate what I'm looking for because the way I
yeah,
annotate like a book that I'm just reading for funsies is very different to how I annotate a book that I'm reading specifically like for the podcast, right?
yeah.
Like last night I'm
Different
reading
type
a
of brain.
book and I'm like this isn't going to be for the podcast and I'm just circling like the route that his like pet names for her take. Like I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh, this is where the love line is starting to happen. I'm like, there's no tabs, there's no highlighting. It's literally just me circling the one word and going like, all right, clocked it. Um, so annotating I think is really fun when it comes to like how specific you can get and also how like tailored to what you need it's going to get.
yeah, exactly. Like, I never annotated books for this business. Like, I really, before this business, I was just, obviously, like, read the book, enjoyed the book, and I would review books. But even like reviewing a book as like say a book person, like a book reviewer, is different than how I even approach reading books for the business. And sometimes it can be a little bit difficult because you get halfway through a book and I'll realize this isn't a good fit. Or I've read some books where like halfway through the book something happens in the book where I'm like, I don't this seems a little bit problematic. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not jiving with this. I don't think other people are going to jive with that. So it can it can be really hard for me to choose what book I'm going to read for a potential pick because I don't like wasting my time either. So I'm like, oh my god, I have a million picks, but I'm also a slow reader, right? So it's like if I'm going to spend a week reading a book, I'm hoping that I'm going to really enjoy it. It's going to be like an instant like, hey, yeah, let's try to do something. But there's been a lot of times where I'm like, I like this book, but I don't know if I'm loving it, you
Hmm.
know? Um but I think when it comes to this business, I think I've been really blessed to have a business that's a reflection of like my interest. Like, I tell a lot of business owners, do what you enjoy, and there's going to be other people who are also going to enjoy it. Like, when you start trying to do things in your business catered just for other people and not somewhat yourself, then you're going to get a bit lost in the weeds. So,
Yeah.
my thought process is like, if I really like a book, then my subscribers are also probably going to enjoy a book. And I think it's also a blessing too, like Satisfiction. Like, we don't just feature like new titles, right? It's like
Hmm.
backlisted indie books. So I have like a lot of like room to explore for different potential picks.
And how does it go when it comes to like picking the like self-care items that go with it?
Oh, I just love I love self-care. Honestly, at this point, because like we've had the business for 4 years, I just kind of like I write down obviously what the featured skincare item is. And then for the next box, I'm like, okay, the last box, we featured a cleanser. So obviously I'm not gonna feature a cleanser. It's kind of a reflection of like my goal is by the end of the year, you kind of have your own skincare routine. Like you have like
Yeah.
a cleanser, toner, serum, maybe lotion. Like you kind of just you already have like a set. So each year kind of resets in a way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mhm.
love like K beauty, so that is just one of those interests of mine that luckily other people find interesting and they like skincare and like self-care things. So I feel like choosing items for that isn't too hard at this point because basically the skincare I use is the skincare that's featured in this business. So if I run out of the cleanser that was featured, a couple of boxes ago, I'm like, okay, I can assume other people who are subscribed probably ran out of this at the same time. So it's probably time to add another cleanser because they're full size products for in
Right.
there. So
That's fantastic. I like the idea of being like, I'm out of this thing. Are
yeah,
you out
like
of this thing?
it's a win for y'all. It's a win for me. So, and I also don't like people guessing what's going to be in the box. Like, if you go on our website, like I list out, like, you obviously, I'm not going to list specifically this is the featured skincare product, but people know, like, they always know they're going to get 2 sheet masks. They always know they're going to get like a bath bomb or bath salts or something, oriented with like the bath. And they always know that they're going to get like a candle. So it's like, I don't, as a consumer, like for me, I don't like guessing. So I just assume the people who are purchasing from me also don't like guessing. Like
Yeah.
you're spending so much money on stuff. Like I personally, like, I want to let my consumers know, my
Yeah,
customers know what they're actually buying. So
Yeah.
they feel like they're making a good purchase.
that's fair. I was reading your about page on your website, which first off, very well done. I liked it.
I literally just updated that like right
Yeah.
before I got on because
Yeah.
I just officially hired our first employee. So her little
Nice.
about bio is now on there.
Nice. Yeah,
Yay.
I am almost like begrudgingly. So I started a master's program in marketing, right?
Mhm.
And it's now like almost frustrating me that I'm noticing things I didn't notice before.
Oh
So
yeah.
when like a website has like a really good like about page, or if they have like a really good like way to get people subscribed to like newsletters or whatever, I'm like, ah, crap. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to notice these things. But
Yeah.
your about page is really nice. I liked it. Let's talk Legend Born by Tracy Dion for a second.
Oh my gosh, I love Tracy Dion. I actually
I
no,
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
haven't started Oathbound yet. So
Oh
I
no,
Neither
we
can't.
haven't
have
either.
we.
We're
It's time.
scared.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
scared.
I haven't. So I was doing like a reread of Legend Born and Bloodmarked, and I finished Bloodmark like 2 weeks ago, and I just haven't picked up
Yeah.
Oathbound yet.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
From what
Correct.
people are saying, I'm like,
Yes.
I just need like to be mentally prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's supposed to have been the last couple weeks episode, and we
Yeah.
keep pushing it because we're just
Yeah,
afraid. I'm
Yeah.
like, I
and the
own
book
it.
is
It's
thick
staring
too.
at me.
Too. I'm like
Yeah.
this. I'm like she's got it's thick. I'm like
She's got stuff to say,
I
everyone.
know. I know. Yeah, she's got stuff to say. Like
No,
this needs my
it's
full focus.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned that you really love Suzanne Collins, which is great timing, obviously, because you are
Oh
being
yeah.
fed this month.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Um,
Yes. I'm like about to finish the audiobook for Sunrise on the Reaping. I love like the
nice.
Hunger Games. Like I remember when during like the trilogy when it was originally coming out, like being in middle school. And I had friends at the time, in middle school, who didn't like to read. And I remember convincing my friends to read the series. I was like, you have to read this. And they like
Yeah.
didn't like to read, but that was the one book I was able to convince them to read, and they all, made up
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
the propaganda that we need.
Yes, I think
But speaking sorry to interrupt. But speaking about the Hunger Games, right? What did we think of the kind of like importance of the black characters, right? Because they are not necessarily in the like forefront, right? but
Yeah.
they are kind of the catalyst in different ways, especially throughout the first Hunger Games, right? Because
Mhm.
you have Rue, you have Thresh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Throughout the series, like by the end, we get Reaper.
Yeah.
What's your
You know,
opinion? Because I love them.
it's so interesting because, like, growing up, right? Like, there weren't a lot of books where I could find characters that looked like me. And I remember reading Hunger Games in middle school and I loved Rue, right? But of course, she ends up dying at the end of it. But I
Yeah,
loved Rue because it was the first time I can really remember as like a kid reading a book with a character who looked like me, And like, I remember being so excited when the movie came out because I was like, wow, like here's this character I love in a book. I'm actually able to see them on the big screen. Like I was obsessed with Rue. My mom, I remember like for the Hunger Games movie premiere, she literally like she like made me like kind of an outfit that resembled Rue's. Like I was obsessed with Rue. So I
no,
just feel
that's
like
good mom
Suzanne
stuff.
Orange, like when I think about her black characters in the book, I feel like she's done a great job of having black characters who one aren't like stereotypical, right? Because when I think of all of the characters, black characters in her book, they're all like kind of like soft, right? It's like they're
Yeah,
not
they're very
stereotypical,
kind.
very kind, they're gentle, loving people. And I feel like Suzanne just does a really great job of having representation in her book without it being stereotypical. Like, here are the black characters, but it's not like she's not doing the most, right? They exist,
Right.
but it's not like these characters are black for an agenda. They just are. And I
Yeah,
just think Suzanne in general, I think her writing, I think she's just a genius. Like she has like, such a great way of writing themes that are just so relevant in
Mhm.
today's society. And part of me is like, you read these books and you have other people who read these books, but
they don't
you know,
clock it.
they don't
Yeah,
clock it. Like they're like, "Oh yeah, Katniss. I love Katniss," but then they don't see how it's like relevant
yeah,
like right now. And I'm like, y'all are gonna
yeah.
root for Katniss, but what about in the real world? Like
Yeah.
there's a
hmm
reason.
My favorite saying right now that's happening everywhere is like reading is not political, and I'm like, guys.
Yeah, it's like they'll be like reading's not political, but it's like y'all are ready to fight, about these fairies and their magical and their fake war. But I'm like, what
Yeah.
about what's going on in
hmm
schools? Like reading
Yeah,
is inherently political. Like
Yes.
let's be real, y'all.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm almost
Please.
like disappointed in us as a society that Hunger Games is still hitting as hard as it did when it
Yeah,
started. Because I'm like, guys,
We need to stop giving Suzanne, like, the
the
yeah,
sustenance.
muse. We
Yeah,
need we
like
need her to
Suzanne
stop
just like
having things to say.
yeah, but like she's a genius though because it's like she comes like she releases the book and then she kind of
And then
goes
she
back.
disappears.
yeah.
And she's like,
I got more to say.
yeah, I love her. I love the fact that she really like gives us her opinion without giving us her opinion, and then she just kind of like sits back like she is the player in like a Sims, right? Where
Yes.
she is like, your kitchen is on fire, just a heads up, girly, but she's given us like full autonomy, and we're like, I don't know what to do about the
Yeah.
kitchen being on fire.
Here you go. I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you all develop your own think pieces.
Yeah.
yeah,
And if it's really wrong, I'll let you know. But like, I'm gonna let y'all simmer with this.
I love her. I also, I think, read Hunger Games in middle school, and then middle school was a good 3 years for literature. I know, Kayla, we
Yeah.
won't stay on that for very long. You were like having
It's
a
fine.
kid and whatever. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It's fine.
Um, but moving into like this company and stuff, I think as a book content creator circle are moving a lot more thankfully towards diversity and everything. What are some, like, if you had to view a book and go like, is this diversity good or is this bad representation, right? What are some things that you look for that are
Yeah.
like, this person is not doing injustice or this person's doing it like performative?
To be real with y'all, I really don't read that many books these days that aren't written by like BIPOC authors. So, you know,
Oh yeah, the goal.
yeah. So like if I am looking for a book with good representation, I'm going to just go find an author who that's their lived experience. Point blank period. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like I don't really have problem. I have a problem searching for that because luckily not only are those the sort of books I read, but like I'm constantly getting recommended by other people with the sort of books I want to promote. Obviously, you know, like we promote BIPOC authors, but like kind of deeper into that, I do try to be cognizant of also representing not just BIPOC authors and their stories, but also like queer stories, you know, authors who are maybe disabled. Like I try to be cognizant of like representing beyond just like, you know, specifically, oh, these characters are BIPOC, they're diverse. I'm like, are they neurodivergent? Are they queer? What is it sapphic? Like I love a good sapphic story. But you know what I mean? So I try to be cognizant. We only have 6 boxes a year, so I do try my best for at least half the boxes um in the year to have a like queer rep. That's important to me.
That's gay
You know,
math. I like it.
yeah. So like it was just kind of like a I guess as someone who's bisexual and like kind of easy decision to make, but I'm like, let me try to at least have half the books in the box. If there's more, great, you
Yeah.
know, in there just to have a good representation. But I feel like, you know, something I really love about like indie authors is I just feel like especially black indie authors, we talk about
Mhm.
representation, they just hit it every time,
Mhm.
right? Like for real. Like when I think about some of our upcoming titles, I'm like, I don't know if it's because indie authors maybe have a little bit more freedom to write what they want, right? They're not writing for a big publisher, so maybe it's different, but I just feel like black indie authors when it comes to like representation beyond like race, I don't know. They get it. They get it,
Yeah,
you know?
they
Unapologetic.
understand. I think that these bigger like publishing houses, right? Like they need to do better. I think is the big
Mhm.
takeaway. You know, we saw even recently with the like Oathbound release, right? I have never
Oh
seen
yeah.
a ball be dropped
Mhm.
You know, but the thing is, it was
so
dropped with blood marks, so I wasn't even
Yeah.
surprised. But you would think
mm,
they would learn their lesson, but I was like, you know, when people show you who they are once, I'm like, they
yeah.
probably aren't
Mhm.
gonna change. And I do think like the whole issue with Oathbound is just such a blatant example of like high key, low key racism in this industry because it's like how is that Tracy is not only hitting the mark, right?
Yeah.
As being a great author, she's above exceptional,
Yeah.
right? How can you be no one's just on the indie best-selling list for 40 weeks for Legend Born. I
Right.
think Legend Born the whole series is back on like New York
Yep.
Times, right? It's already back on there.
Yeah.
How can you be hitting the mark every time, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you're still being told by people like people are just coming up with these crazy excuses why Oathbound did not have as big as a release in like Barnes and Noble. You know, I'm like, come
Yep.
Right.
on, y'all. Let's call bullshit where there's bullshit. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
y'all keep saying, oh well, you know, bookstores just want to promote the books that are selling. Okay, let's go look at the
Yeah,
stats.
if they're
So
gonna have like an entire section that never goes away and it just says like book talk, I'm like
yeah,
really tired of it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's the same books in this table
the
every
same
single time.
like y'all can put, you know, a huge effort into, you know, I don't want to name names, but you know, the big dragon book, but y'all can't put a little bit effort into Oathbound,
Yeah.
I
one of the
like the
most
big dragon book. That's gonna go as a sticker.
It could go either way.
you know what I'm
No.
talking about, but it's just like so insane. And I think, you know, as someone who's a bit behind the scenes and working with publishers, the unfortunate truth is the round of racism in publishing is very micro. It's not really like in your face all the time. I mean, Oathbound is a perfect example of it being in your face, right? But like if you have, you know, your whole marketing department is is just white people, there's no diversity in
Mhm.
there, then obviously, you know, they're not going to be promoting the stories that a lot of us are talking about. And I think
Yeah,
it kind of comes down to like publishing houses needing to do better because it's like common sense. Like if you know that a black authored book may, you know, take a little bit more push, right, to get the book into readers' hands, but you decide actively, I'm gonna take that marketing money and put it into another author that, you know,
doesn't need the help.
doesn't
Yeah.
need the help And then
Yeah.
you're surprised when this other author isn't selling as you want, but it's because you actively are choosing not to invest
Yeah.
into it. And it's like, come on, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
You know,
There's so recently I read, or I listened to Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, right? Which I am not a like nonfiction girly in the slightest, right? But there's an entire chapter where he's talking about the prevalence of tuberculosis and how, like, you know, it affects the numbers or whatever. And literally there was a part that had me so stunned and so upset because as he's talking about all of these things and why it goes wrong, every single sentence he ends it and he's just like, because of racism. And like he says this like 6 times. And I'm like, man, like this white man from I think like Minnesota, right? He's talking, or no, he's from like Indiana or something. One of the
one of those
states.
Midwest states.
Yeah,
One of the Midwest states.
he's over there. But he's able to take something as like basically obvious as tuberculosis, right? And he's like, it literally just comes back to racism.
Yep.
And it's so disappointing because as somebody who's like trying very desperately to get into like the publishing world,
It's
right?
hard.
We talked about gatekeeping earlier, but like the publishing world is the best kept gate
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
that
crazy.
exists right
It's
now.
so crazy, y'all, because like the way I'm treated now compared to when I first started, I'm like, I haven't done I haven't changed as a person. I haven't done anything
Yeah.
different, you know, but I guess
You've
publishers,
got the numbers now.
yeah,
You've
I
got
got a bit
the,
more
yeah.
numbers. They're
Yeah.
taking me a little bit more seriously, you know, but I'm just like, where was this kind energy when I entered? Because, you
Mm-hmm.
know, there was like there was a few publishers when I started, they did not I did not like the vibe and the
Yeah.
energy they were giving me. And so they were kind of on my like shit list for a while. I was like, I'm not gonna sorry, but I'm not gonna I don't want to work with y'all. Like y'all are making it
Right.
hard. Like I have to remind myself sometimes, not so much anymore. But when I first started, you know, when you're trying to get into these rooms, it can feel really anxiety ridden because it's something
Mhm.
new and different. You have to learn like a whole new language, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of assumptions that you'll just know everything. But I think something I remind myself when I'm like interacting with a publisher, having a meeting, is that ultimately, like, I am the customer, you
Right.
know? So, like, y'all are going to treat me with respect, you know? Like, I'm not afraid anymore to call out publishers for bad behavior. In fact, the few times in the past I've been kind of like even just vague posting on like threads about like bullshit I deal with, I am telling you, publishers look at social media. Like I posted something once and it wasn't even about like a specific publisher, but this one publisher I work with frequently, I'm telling you, they were already good, but they really got great with their service because I'm not afraid. Like if I'm a customer, if why do y'all make it difficult for
Yeah.
me to buy books from you? Like I'm trying to
Right.
promote
Your
books.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're literally
exactly.
working here together, guys.
Yeah. And it's
Uh
like, sorry, I was about to go on a
no,
tangent.
no, you're
I
good.
was
Go
like,
off on the
if you
rant.
talk-
It's
Yeah.
usually me doing it.
if you talk about marketing, but it also like behind the scenes, it also comes down to who your sales rep is. So like for every publisher, I have like a sales person, and I'm telling you, there's like a couple publishers where I have black sales reps, and the experience is completely different. You know, I've had sales reps who I'm very explicit. We are a book box that promotes BIPOC authors, right? And sci-fi fantasy, like
And they still
you're
try to throw you the dragon book.
yeah, literally. They'll be like, "What books are you looking for?" And I tell them exactly. They'll send me a list of like 20 books, and all of them are white authors. And I'm like, "Why do you even ask me what I'm like looking for, and then you actively ignore that?"
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, it's just small stuff like that. I'm like, really? Like, why even? What are you doing? So I think even internally with publishers, like who you're dealing with and who you talk to makes all the difference. And the big five publishers do not have small businesses in mind. Like they are very much corporation. They don't care. You know, I can keep going on a tangent about this for
Capitalism, the root
yeah,
of all evil.
they do
Mhm.
not care. And so it's just crazy.
Yeah. I think, especially like when you are female presenting, right? And then it becomes twice fold when you are somebody that is BIPOC or you or somebody that is queer or anything like that, we have been always taught like do not take up space, right? And so when you're trying to get into
Yes,
these rooms, that's like the instinct you have to immediately like fight every step of the way, you know, and
yeah,
it's
exactly.
incredibly tiring. So the fact that you're able to have such a successful business, you're able to hire your first employee, right? Like that's super exciting things and you should be told more often like how cool that is
Yeah.
Hey,
because I think like within this community, it's not just like cool you're succeeding, it's also like the almost responsibility of the people around you to like ensure that you're getting the like praise and kudos that that deserves because like no one else is necessarily going to give it to you. Like it has to be like your own community, your own like people that are like, "Hey, that's really freaking cool."
I feel really I feel really lucky because I feel like, you know, my customer base, my patrons, as I like to call them, I feel like they really understand what I'm trying to do. They get like I feel like my subscribers give me so much grace and they also give me room to try new things. And sometimes I try new things and I'm like, no, that doesn't really work. I just
Mhm.
feel like they understand the core mission of this book box is to uplift diverse authors. Like, yes, you get a pretty book every other month, but like the point that's just a plus. Like when I started this
Yeah.
business, I was solely just sending out just the book, like the standard book. And then it became, the solid sprayed edges, and now here
Mhm.
we are with exclusive editions. And I 100% attribute that to people like seeing like, hey, if we want to have these cool exclusive editions by Black authors, then we need to invest in these businesses. And when I started out, I would say a lot more like, if y'all want to see these cool things, then y'all need to invest in the businesses who are trying their best to do that. Because the only way, I'm able to do these exclusive editions is with support, you
Yeah,
know?
you have to be willing to invest in the maybe bumpy starts of
Right.
things
Yeah,
and even like with authordom and everything, you have to be willing to show the publishers like I am paying for these books even if the series is not done, right? Like a lot of people
Yeah.
will wait to read the series until it's completely done and it's like, but hey guys, that's defeating the
yeah.
purpose. Are
It's
you going to
defeating
get the completed series if you're not purchasing the books?
Yeah,
Um
exactly. And so, you know, it can be hard sometimes because like I look at my peers in like the book box space and I honestly want to do like maybe one day I'll do this like a little test, like kind of just a social test. But I kind of want to go start like another, not necessarily a book box, but like a sprayed edition store. You
Mhm.
don't know it's me
Yeah,
who's
you
running
just
it.
got that fancy UV
Yeah,
printer.
I just do, but my theory is, and I mean not theory, I see it. I'm like, I swear, if I started a shop right now that was just promoting solely like white authors, the popular ones,
Yeah.
that I would probably
You'd be
grow 10
bringing
times
in the
as fast.
bank.
Yeah, 10 times as
Yeah.
fast as Satisfiction has, just solely because Satisfiction doesn't really pander to a white audience.
Right.
Like I feel like I try to make it clear that like first and foremost, this is a safe space for people of color.
Yeah.
If you want to come to the
Right.
party, you can come to the party, but this
Hmm.
is this is a
Like
space where
the TikTok memes of like, are you invited to the barbecue?
yeah, literally, it's like you can come, but I will be the first to tell you if
Yeah.
bullshit's not welcome here, so
Hmm.
Right.
I think it's definitely something that we, even as like a podcast, because obviously I think we just now in the past like week hit our like year mark. And it's a conversation we have to have a lot behind the scenes of like, man, like, should we read these popular dragon books or these popular book talk books and talk about them because that is where like some of the audience is. And I'm like, but these authors tend to be not great people, right? And I'm like, I own one of the books because I bought it prior to us finding out that they weren't the best person. And I'm like,
yeah.
man, I really need to read the book so that I can like say that I read it and I didn't waste my money on this book. But then I'm like, I don't want to have anybody come to the platform and think that that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no,
Yeah.
if I talk about this book the entire like 3 seconds, you're just gonna hear me in the background going, please don't get the book, please don't get the book.
Yeah. But it's also too like the really mega popular books don't even really need the promo. You know
Yeah,
what I
they
That's
mean?
don't.
true. That's true.
They don't even need the promo. So I think that's, that is something like I accepted like a long time ago when I started this business, because it definitely felt like, not as much anymore, but first like 2 years of this business, I felt like I was shouting into a void almost, where I was like, y'all
Mhm.
said you wanted this. Where are you? Like, I'm here,
Yeah.
like I'm doing the thing, support me. But I've kind of accepted that one, you know, I don't expect my business to ever go like have these crazy like viral moments. And I don't think trying to even get virality is good for any business, because, I think in your head, if you go from 0 to, let's say, 10,000, that sounds great, but in actuality, like, that's way too much. So I'm very much like a slow and steady wins the race, and I really believe that, like, I don't feel like I need to teach people why they should be reading diversely. Like, when I first
Right.
started, I feel like I was kind of preaching that, like, this is why you
Mhm.
should read diversely. But now I'm kind of like, I just want to attract the people that already understand that and are ready to like promote the books,
Yeah.
because people who care are going to care. People who don't care, why am I wasting my time trying to convince them to care?
Right.
That's a good message and takeaway from it. Um I had my little book, which is why you saw me looking down. I asked my questions. If you want to, Kayla, is there anything you wanted to say?
No. No, I'm mostly here for
She
the vibes. I was
yeah.
told we were doing this and I'm like, bet. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I'm here for the
Yeah.
vibes. I'm gonna go
Uh
subscribe as soon as we're done.
yeah. Um Trust me, I was like in the email because before the wait list or before the subscription list was like a public thing, it was like a wait list thing.
Yeah.
I got the email and then life happened and I was like, no, wait, please come back. I was like, I'm trying so hard. But this is the normal part of the episode where you can like talk your talk, right? Explain anything you've got going on, explain like what needs to happen for them to subscribe, things you've got going on in the future, any like literally anything. Talk your
Yeah.
talk.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk. This is not really spoilers. I mean, kind of spoilers, but I literally yesterday received from our artist the sprayed edge designs for like a Lore of the Wilds, Lore of the Tides
Oh,
set we're doing.
love
Yeah.
her.
Oh, dude, I love Annalise. She's one of my close friends. She was actually my first friend I met on Bookstagram in 2020. I remember
Nice.
reading Lore of the Wilds. She sent me, it wasn't named at the time.
Hmm.
She sent me like the first chapter, and she had no idea how it was going to end. And I remember reading it. I was like, girl, you better finish this book.
You
You
better
better,
get to
And then
it.
she
I was like, you better
wrecked
get to it,
us. And then she
but,
just wrecked us.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. So
We are
I'm really
trying
excited.
very desperately to get her on the podcast because we love Lore of the Tides.
Oh,
Um,
Lore
I
Wild.
literally will text her after this and be like,
yeah.
you gotta get on this podcast. She loves
Yeah.
podcasts and stuff, so she would
Yeah.
definitely.
We love her. I think she's also a Florida girly, which is fun.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
because
So
I need to meet more Florida girlies that aren't in the wasteland, you know?
yeah,
No, but
but
Sprayed
that's super
edges.
excited
exciting.
about that set.
That's exciting.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like when she was originally gonna publish indie. So she was technically the first exclusive edition Satisfiction did. This is when she was indie. So that, sometimes I wish I could go back and we'd probably do everything different because we worked on that really closely together. But now she's trad, so unfortunately I can't do like a whole exclusive edition for Lore of the Tides, because most people don't know, but publishers have crazy, crazy order minimums
Yeah,
to do.
Mhm.
and they're stingy with
Like,
it.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
very. It's incredibly crazy. So, but what we can do is like sprayed edges, and now that we have like, I finally got this UV printer. I'm like, let's do a set. So the artist of the cover, Jordan Ashby, who's wonderful, he created some sprayed edges for us. So hopefully
That
I
is
can
so
announce
dope.
that in the next coming weeks.
Oh,
So
that's so exciting.
That's
yeah.
so dope.
My eyes are peeped.
Yes.
My
It's
wallet
really
is
pretty.
sobbing.
Oh yeah, that was so Kayla knows because it was a common complaint, but I was really planning on doing a like no buying book ban for this year, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody and their mamas decided that this year was the year they were going to come out with bangers, and I was like, I can't
Yeah,
do
I was
it.
like, how's
I'm
it
sorry,
going?
guys.
Yeah.
I was
Oh
like,
my
I'm just going to
God.
work on self control, but I cannot put the hard limit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everyone's coming out with the heavy hitters. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
dang, I gotta
I
go
was
buy
like,
this.
no, guys, please. Like in the background, hopefully you haven't been able to hear it. My grandfather's literally in the process of building me more bookshelves.
Oh, I can't hear
Because
anything.
yeah, because that's why I kept looking over, because I was like, is he building it into the wall on the outside? Like but alas, thank you so much for being here. This was so fun.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for inviting me. If you ever want to invite me back, just send
Always.
me.
We
Open
will.
invitation.
Send me
What?
emails.
Read Oathbound and you can come on that episode.
Yeah, we can talk about
Yes, I'm
Oathbound
hoping
together.
that like in April I
Yeah.
can get through it, but it's so thick and I'm like, okay, this is a book I need to have 100%
Time, energy,
Yeah.
time, energy for.
prayers, thoughts,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, a lot of prayers,
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts. But it's gonna be one of those where I cry. I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all are giving me vibes like this is a book
That's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
cry.
the thing too, is like knowing that it's gonna put me in a book slump. We're
Yeah.
having to be very
Yes.
strategic with it, because I'm like, I need to
Yes.
put it in a place where I'm not gonna feel the book slump, because I'm not I don't have a choice. But thank you, Jolie, once again for being here with us today. For those who are interested, which you all should be because you are people of taste, the link for Satisfiction will be in the box below. For Spotify, it's different, but you guys know where to find things. But thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you in the next episode.